Simon, back to training after a weekend off for the international break. You managed to get some R&R under your belt while we've been away.
Yeah, yes and no, I suppose. It was a good opportunity to get a little bit of distance from one another, but kids are in school, coaching junior rugby on the weekend and that, quite tied up anyway. But yeah, nonetheless, good to get a little break from each other, but also pretty eager to get back in and get on with this week.
Yeah, it's like a third of the way into the season. It'll have also given you a chance to reflect on the position that we're in at the minute. We're sitting fifth in the league into the sixth round of the Cup. Are you happy with how the season's gone so far?
Well, yes and no. We spoke about it time and time again. I think our form's been up and down. I'd like us to have been a bit more consistent by now, but that's something we just have to keep working towards, I suppose. And obviously, yeah, we've gone well in the Cup, haven't we? I thought our last performance before this little break was as good as we've been, and it looked like us. So yeah, I think now that's just give us something to build on. And I did say after the last one where it would have been nice to go again straight after and, you know, try and get that consistency and rhythm going. A week in between shouldn't have hindered us too much. We came in on Tuesday, did a pretty tough session and knocked the weekend out of the lads because they've all been off doing little bits and bobs. So yeah, we're ready to crack on now. But yeah, it's been a bit up and down. But again, as I've said before, it's the same for maybe another 8 teams are in the same sort of boat where we've all been a bit up and down, and inevitably whoever gets the consistency will be the ones who are in the mix. So that's something we're going to be looking at get on top of really in the next few weeks.
You mentioned obviously the really good showing in the last outing against Bradford. Maybe the most complete team performance we've seen so far this year. Does that give you a standard to set there that says that if you want to kick on now and become more consistent, that we can't drop below that level? Yeah,
I think that were good. It does matter if you drop below it, but it doesn't matter if you drop below it and you're getting results, does it? But that is what we want to look like every week. That's our style of rugby and how we've played for a couple of years, and we just need to make sure that's at the forefront of our mind. That's our strength, playing that way. So not to, for example, Saints play a very different way. You know, if we go try and play Saints how Saints play, it'll be a tough day at office. There won't be many battles won on that day, though, I think, if we do that. But yeah, if we play our way against anyone in our competition, I think we're a strong chance of winning. So we just have to hold on to that.
We'll come back to the international break before we look ahead to the weekend. One Fax player in action, Louis Jouffret, made his full debut, got his first cap for France in the international against England. Did you watch the game? How do you think he went? Are you pleased to see him?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, overdue. I think he got in last year, and I probably thought he was in better form probably last year. I mean, he should have got a game then for me, but yeah, frustrating World Cup period for him. So it's nice for him to finally pull in the jersey, and I'll always push for that if ever there's a Wales, Ireland, Scotland game on. If any of our lads are available and fit, definitely push him to play, and it's good for everyone, I think. But yeah, good for him. But 64-0, they got a hiding, didn't they? But probably expected, to be fair. Both teams obviously had a lot of withdrawals, but the deeper playing pool in the UK as opposed to France meant England's young lads are of a very high standard, aren't they? So I thought they did a really good job, and Louis probably got half an hour, 40, 35 minutes, something like that. Probably didn't get enough opportunity, whether it was through England being great or the time on pitch playing fullback, all those bits to show off what Louis is. But he did all right, considering the circumstances, and hopefully that's probably that's fueled a bit of a fire for whatever comes next for France at the end of the year. I know England have announced what they're doing. I'm not sure if there's a home nations comp or anything like that, but he probably got a bit of a taste of it now, so maybe he gets another goal later on.
Being the only player that was involved in rugby activities while everyone else was off and obviously training and playing, is there a bit of managing that needs to be done with him when he comes back into training, or with him only playing, like you say, one half of rugby, do you think he'll be alright to just...
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny one, that, Faz, because obviously having a week off, you'd think everyone should be fresh. So there is an argument on that side of things, but at the same point, Louis played every game anyway. He's played every game so far, and obviously then topped another one on top playing international, so there is a bit of school of thought of should we look at a different role for Louis this week, but that's just part of the thought process going into this one, and we'll work that out tonight and tomorrow. But yeah, there's a lot of them who've played, a chunk of them who've played every game, and we've got what looks like a pretty healthy squad, I think. Again, the final check on everyone tonight, but we're not in bad shape, and there's blokes who need to get back out on the field. Kev Leroy, Dan Fleming, they're just to name two. Pickers played one or two, bit of a groin issue. You know, he's had a little break now. We need to get him some game time as well. So yeah, over the next few weeks, we've got hopefully that healthy squad maintains, and we get opportunity to actually use it really.
So I was going to come on to injuries, but you pretty much answered it there. The one that stands out, the only really long-term one we've had is Kev Leroy. You say we're going to check on him tonight. Have you got a rough timeline?
Yeah, Kev's not miles off. He's fit. He's joining in, doing everything now. I think it's just developing those the rugby league legs and lungs, if you like. He's just trained hard in the background and loads of rehab, but with it being a calf injury, a lot of it's been off feet. And when you're 100 kilos plus, getting up and down off the ground, all the core things that make our game, particularly when you play at middle of the field, they take some getting used to again. So he's got all that to work through. We'll assess him tonight, but again, if it's not this weekend, he will be in it next week or so. Well, what have we got? Sunday, only 12 days, there's 2 more games within that, so I would imagine he'll definitely play in one of them if he don't make this week. But that goes for the same for a few blokes really, in terms of getting the minutes to where if we leave people out of the team for too long, you know what they're going to dish up when they do get an opportunity. So we're trying to work all out at the minute and keep it fresh really, but also at the same time I think we're getting to that stage of season now where the team is going to be the team before long. So they're going to get the last sort of opportunities to force their claim for a spot in the 17, and then after that it will just come down to form. I think you've seen it last year. We haven't done too much chopping and changing when we get things right and we get into the rhythm of the season. So there's a few weeks left yet, I think, for everyone to get a bit of a look at it. But after that, we'll be after that consistency, which means the team won't change too much. So they've got to put a good shift in the next few weeks.
We'll move on to Sunday then. We travel up to the northeast to face Newcastle Thunder in round 10 of the Betfred Championship. They're rooted to the bottom of the table at the moment, only one win in 9 games. Without meaning to sound disrespectful, is this a good weekend to look at rotating the squad? Or
well, if you look at it just from a table sense, yes. We won't, if we do make changes, it won't be a heap of changes, just for the fact that we're not going to go, oh, we'll just chuck whatever 13 out there we want, because obviously we've got to respect our opposition, and they're a good team. You know, I've watched a couple of their games, even against York. I thought they probably should have won, to be fair. They're really in the game, they play quite a nice style. Just things haven't been going their way. There's Barrow in that same boat, aren't they, where they've been down there, things haven't been going their way, but like I said with Barrow, when they turned us over, they're a good team, and things will go their way sooner or later. And you know, that's the same boat for Newcastle really. But yeah, got the drive, a little bit out of the ordinary to contend with. Plastic pitch, so we've got some adjustments to make for when you play on those surfaces. But absolutely no excuses. We'll be going up there with a very good 17 to take on them, and again jump back into the little bit of rhythm that we started showing against Bradford, and whatever 17 goes up will be ready to go up and do a job. But he's certainly not a gimme just because they're bottom at the table.
And if selected this weekend, Joe Keys will make his 150th career appearance. Just how great of a servant has he been to the game of rugby league?
Yeah, he's done well. He's had his hiccups along the way, so a few injuries to deal with and whatnot. And obviously his stint at Super League, managed to play a couple of games, but probably didn't go how he wanted. And I think he's found a home here. He's happy, which is a key thing with Joe. He's happy, and we saw him do really well for us last year. I think he's been good this year, and I think probably copped a bit of criticism, as have all the team, on his performances at times. But I think you must remember that it's a team game, and if, for example, the most obvious and old school rugby league stuff, if the forwards aren't doing a great job, your halves are struggling behind them, and there's all those little bits and bobs in between. But he's good for us, developing leader. He's been playing well. Like Louis got all the plaudits against Bulls last week, but if you watch it again, there's one bloke that's dictating traffic really, making sure there's space for Louis to do his job. So yeah, I think we're really happy with Keezy, and hopefully he's got plenty more in the tank at this club.
And finally then, just a word on what's coming up. They've got some big games, trip to the northeast, home game against Whitehaven, St Helens in the Cup, Summer Bash, a trip to France. It's an exciting time for fans to get on board, and you must be hoping that a few of them make the trip up to Newcastle on Sunday and get behind the boys for what could be an enjoyable month for rugby league.
Yeah, definitely. I think tickets wise, sold a decent number of tickets. I think last time we went, we probably outnumbered Newcastle in fans, which is great to see, and hopefully we can do that again. But yeah, you're right, it's a good month, a big month for us. Not an easy game in amongst all of that. I think Whitehaven have just found a little bit of form. Batley have shown a bit more promise, and obviously Saints, it's not going to be an easy night's work, is it, whichever way it goes. So yeah, it's a good one, an exciting one, and obviously at the end of that we get to play Toulouse away, and I think the last time we visited there, or the last few times we visited, we've had some good trips, haven't we? So yeah, looking forward to what's ahead, but as always, Faz, as boring as it might be, we'll worry about Newcastle first.